Hi, welcome to Lilybugs Library. My name's Linda, and it's Friday Reads time. So it's been a pretty good reading week as far as amount, as far as whether they were good. Some were, some not. So the first one I want to talk about, though, was an ARC from NetGalley. So thank you to them and to the author and publisher. And this one was called The Inn at Penglis Cove. And it was quite good. It was took a little bit of time for me to kind of get used to the timelines in it. It had one in present day and one back in 1800s, I think. Um, and definitely, I think I really preferred the one in the present day than I did the one in the past. But that was, just me. But it starts out with Juno, who is in the midst of getting a divorce from her husband. She inherits this inn from somebody that she figures must be a relative, but she doesn't know them. And she packs up her kids and heads to this island to take over this inn. Well, she gets there, of course, in the middle of a, rainstorm, and, things are nighttime and bleak and everything. And it turns out it's not much of an inn. It's kind of a mess. And it also has, a lot of pirate caves, like a kind of next to it and underneath it, there's like a pirate museum. And it's just a hot mess. And she meets this man who ends up kind of scaring her because he's acts like a pirate and he's an older man. And so initially her and the kids are like, okay, we need to leave here. But it starts to grow on her, and she starts to learn about this legend that has to do with what could be her relatives, because there's a painting of this girl that looks a lot like her daughter. And as they're telling this story, that's the part in the past where it has to do with pirates and lost loves and um, all kinds of things. And then in the present, she starts to learn about possible pirates, modern day pirates who are trafficking people and doing all kinds of nefarious deeds. So there's a lot going on. And in the midst of all that, there's a bit of a love story. And so it's, I found like I said, the modern day part fascinating. It wasn't until they really got into the story that I started being kind of gripped by the stuff in the past. But it did grab my attention eventually. So it was a good story. I would say I'd give it probably about 4 out of 5. The characters were interesting. The stories were interesting, especially as you get further into the book and they kind of all tangle up together, past and present. And so that part was really fun. And so yeah, it wasn't bad at all. And love the cover of the book. I think it's so pretty. And I don't think I've read anything this author's done before, but I might check out what they do in the future. So that one was good. So the next one that I read, actually with Wonderful Husband, and it was supposed to be a little palate cleanser because we had finished the Robin Hobbs series. And so this was just a little cozy mystery. It was called Murder on Liberty Bay. Well, I didn't really care for it. I found the dialogue in it to be very stilted. Even when the mother was talking to her daughter, it was a little better for those conversations. But then when she was talking to people in the town that she moved to, like I said, it all just seemed very stilted and kind of unbelievable. And then I guessed who the killer was before we actually found out, which, I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, but oftentimes I can't guess. And so I think this one maybe could have used a few more red herrings or something. Um, and yeah, just overall, I was not that crazy about it. And so that one, I'm afraid I'd only give 2 stars. So the next one I read was called Scent of Peril. And it's the third one in the Sullivan Canine Search and Rescue Mysteries. And I really didn't enjoy this one. Um, I didn't like the characters. I don't know what it was exactly because I did like the other ones. The woman in it was still part of the Sullivan family, and then the guy that she was attracted to, she had known him, I think, in school, and then his sister had been her best friend, and he was dating, no, yes, his sister. No, that's not right. Her best friend was dating him at the time, and her best friend ended up dying of a drug overdose, and she blamed this guy for it because he says he didn't know, and she felt like he should have known. So that was the history that they had together. That's not really a spoiler. It was in the first couple of pages, but just their whole relationship, I didn't feel anything for it. I didn't feel the romance. I didn't feel kind of the excitement of the story. It just kind of fell flat for me. So unfortunately, I'm giving that one a 2 out of 5 as well. Will I continue with the series? Yeah, I think I will because the first ones I liked. So we'll give the next one a chance and see what I think. And the next one that I read was The Path of the Crooked, and it's the first in the Hope Street Church Mysteries. And kind of a different take on a cozy. This main character in this one is Cooper, and she actually fixes copiers and things for a living, which I thought was kind of, different from what you usually get with a cozy. And the woman that, one of these women that she's trying to help, I think she went to fix the woman's copier, I believe, and uh, the woman is kind of doesn't seem quite herself. But in the midst of all of it, she does start talking to Cooper about the church that she goes to and convinces Cooper to give it a try. And so when Cooper decides to join this Bible study at the church, she shows up there only to find out that the woman has been killed and her husband has been arrested for it. The woman's husband. Cooper doesn't have a husband. Uh, so, so she feels really weird about the whole thing, and she really wants to find out, what happened and who did it because she just saw this woman like the day before. And so all the people that she meets at this Bible study all kind of get involved and try to help her solve this mystery. And it was good. It was it great? No, but it was good. It was the characters were kind of interesting. The premise was interesting. Um, I did feel like it wasn't as cozy as a lot of the cozy mysteries I've read. Um, I'm not sure why exactly. Cooper's grandmother was probably my favorite character just because she would come up with these, this crazy sounding advice and all these homespun sayings. And so she was a lot of fun. But the other characters could have used a little more of that. But it's only the first in the series, so I am willing to read another one and give it a try and see if I enjoy it more because sometimes they just get better as you go along. And then the last one I read was my 5-star read of the week. It was called Once We Were Brothers. And this was amazing. I listened to it on audio, and it's the first in the Liam Taggart and Catherine Lockhart series. And in this book, Catherine is a lawyer, and Liam, I think he's a detective, if I remember correctly. And he brings this older Jewish man named Solomon to talk to Catherine. And it turns out that Solomon wants to sue this man named Otto because he says that Otto was a Nazi and he would like to make him pay in many ways, but he's going with suing him for taking his the family's jewelry and money and all of those things. But the twist in it, which I really liked because I've read a lot of historical mysteries and historical fiction, and a lot of World War II fiction. And after a while, you get so you feel like there's nothing new. But in this one, Solomon and Otto actually grew up together, and his Solomon's parents raised Otto until he was a certain age, and then all of a sudden one day his parents show up and want to take him, and Otto doesn't want to go. And anyway, in the course of everything that happens, Otto ends up leaving the family, and because he's not Jewish, he ends up getting involved with the Nazis. And so, the whole title of it, Once We Were Brothers, is because they did used to be. And so I thought it was amazing. The narration of the whole thing was so good. I don't know how many people did it, but they all sounded like different characters to me. And the person who did Solomon was amazing. Like, just, oh, such like a good. I don't know if they were Jewish, but they had such a good accent and so much passion in what they were saying when they were telling their story. And yeah, it was excellent. And I was on the edge of my seat to see, what happened with this family. So yeah, really enjoyed that, and it wasn't a bad time to read. Like, I don't know how long it's even been, a week or two, but there's some good, some bad, like I said. So that was it for me for this week or so. And it's kind of been snowing on and off here. We had a big storm, and then most of that went away, and now we're just having little bits. And this weekend is supposed to be super cold. So we were planning on just kind of hunkering down and staying home. But there's a place nearby that actually does like a British afternoon tea. So we're going to go do that this weekend, and thought that would be fun. So I'll take some pictures. Maybe if you're interested, I'll put them up, and you can, see what we did. So I hope everybody has a great weekend, and I hope whatever you read, I hope you enjoyed it. And I will talk to you soon, my friends. All right, bye bye.